so that we will get the desired effect and result. Yes, brother?
It is said that when one compliments too much, you're actually bigging up the person's self, and then we are being taught in the church not to encourage self or self-seeking.
All right. Very good point Brother Steve has made on the negative side. He said that. I would say, brother, Christ said, it was said by them. I will say to you, such persons know not the love of God in truth and in fact. Does God encourage us? Does God speak to our spirits and seek to lift it up? Very often. Happy are you. And anyone who you find making that kind of statement, I'm not judging anything, I don't know. Such a person is suspect. Yes, sister, let's go to the mic, please. Start to talk now.
The spirit of prophecy tells us that we shouldn't flatter our elders or overpraise them, because we put them in danger when we do that, I think.
But I'm going to say to you, we're talking with the same spirit of prophecy who tells us that we should be complimentary towards our spouses, though. And flattery is deception, We're not talking about deception, sister. That's what flattery is. When you encourage a person by way of a compliment, it's a different ball game. So you're saying to me, I'm not going to tell my wife she's lovely and she looks beautiful. Are you saying that? Therefore, what I'm suggesting to you, we're not talking about flattery, which is deception in order to trap a person. That's what flattery is all about, Why does one flatter? A person flatters in order to very often get a person on their side or to make a person believe that, I'm for you. But a compliment is stating the truth about a matter in a way that you're not flattering in actual fact. So we need to be very careful of the balance so that ministers should not listen to people who just kind of stroke the ego. Oh, my, you're the best thing that can preach in the world. No, nonsense. A person may come and contrition, acknowledge that they have been blessed by the word. You praise God and pray for the person. And that is not flattery either. So we need to understand that we are talking about complimenting a person in contrast to the devious aspect of flattery. Good. So, go. Okay, brother.
Brother Saul sent me this a picture with this extremely ugly teacher, and the teacher had on the board, my teacher is very handsome. The little boy was standing up behind his back, and he was told to repeat what is on the board. And the little boy said, teacher, I can't tell you, I'm a Christian. I say that to mean this. A friend of mine, was a group of us gathered, and we were talking, and one guy says he finds it hard to compliment his partner because she doesn't dress well. And when he sees another lady that dresses well, according to what his well is, he was say in front of his partner, and his partner got annoyed and said, you can't tell me that I look good, but you can tell somebody that they look good. But he said to her, you don't dress that way. Apparently, in her Christian way of dressing, she dresses with these long flowing clothes and such like, and doesn't show anything to excite him. But the others on the outside now dress a little different, so he always has compliments for them and never for his partner. Should one even say that, hey, darling, you look nice or whatever, even if in your estimation they don't, because in fact you would be lying? Would it not be so?
Thank you, Brother Steve, for your question. Now, I believe that it is a spouse's responsibility to help the darling look good. Correct. And if you realize your darling is not as looking good as you think, you have a responsibility, in my estimation, to help that person. because you care for that person, you know. You're supposed to love that person like yourself because they are your next self in actual fact. And very often the problem is that people like to look at other people's partners and compare their partner with that other person. And that is not what God designed. Your partner should fill your eyes. I will say that and move on. The next point says, if your partner repeatedly, listen to this, criticizes and insults you, he or she is not showing you the respect any marriage partner deserves. Now, you cannot be constantly criticizing a person and still respect them. Constantly criticizing them. And without, of course, criticism suggests negativity. We're not talking about critical appraisal. We're talking about criticisms. So if your part, very often what we don't realize is, when you criticize your partner, you criticize yourself, you know. Let me tell you what I mean by that. That is who you have chosen to be your partner. Meaning then, if she ain't good or he ain't good, will you only use because you don't choose good? Think about it carefully. You see, what we do often is try to belittle people, try to exalt ourselves at the expense of belittling other people. But if you have chosen a person, and then you look and see something out here that, Jesus, I saw you and married she. You are saying to yourself and to others, will you only use, you can choose well? And I'm saying that rather than do that, we should try to encourage and lift up the one. Because in so doing, you could be lifted up. You know, there's a book that I love called Pygmalion. Of course, I'm of older generation, a different genre. For those who might know that English literature book by Bernard Shaw, little if you should know that. Pygmalion, a tremendous book set in the East End of London. And at school, I had to do this. It reflected a disparity in education between a man and his wife. But the man deliberately chose that young lady, and he was like a professor to her, well, according to the British, that East Ender who speaks a certain way, don't have a lot of education. And his objective was he loved her, and he wanted to elevate her. So what I'm saying is, if you have a wife or a husband, your objective is to make sure your wife and husband is carried to the highest level that you can go to in terms of social settings. And as you begin to put down your wife, you're putting down yourself. If my wife is my next self, and I putting she down, or you putting down your husband, will you putting down yourself? That's how you understand it. So those are things that I think that we should really seriously look at. Let's go further. Now, this is one that I could probably bypass. Infidelity is a ring I want to say to unmarried or potential married people. Let me read first. Does my partner flirt? You see that there? Does my partner flirt? Now, we're talking about Christian principles. As you're flirting, you're lusting. And once you're and the word is flirt, by the way. And flirt means just what it means. It means that just like a girl, but you're saying suggestive things in actual fact, one way or the other. So does my partner flirt or behave in any other way with others that make me unhappy or uncomfortable? Once that is the position, and by the way, women can pick up flirtations faster than men. And the White has in the book of Avenson a whole section on flirting. You won't believe it. You won't believe it, huh? That's why I know we need to read the works that God has sent to us to strengthen those things that still remain. So that women have, you know, a woman is an amazing creature, or creation of God to make it sound sweeter. No, women are really an amazing creation of God. I'm going to say something here now that I haven't said. But, you know, I sometimes I just sit down and think about this whole man-woman situation, looking at women as they have been designed and made by God. I admit to myself, and I've said it here in a circuitous way, truly, you know, God's creation was complete and flawless by the end of creation week. But notice in all of that, he said that it wasn't good for a man to be alone. I ruminated on that for a bit. I will make him a helpmeet, fit for his help. And you know why I can sure came to? While none of God's works are flawless and perfect, especially after the creation, there was a need that God saw that man had. No, I'm not saying he was deficient, but there was a need that God saw that a man had. And he gave man a woman to fill that need. And that need, to my mind, was for him to see who he really is. A man without a woman cannot really know whom he is. I might be saying a brash statement to some people, but I repeat it again. And that is why singleness, like we discussed yesterday, can be used for God's glory, but it cannot reflect the ideal that God has. A woman, brethren, helps a man to understand and see who he really is, because she is your net self. You can't see yourself by looking at yourself. You see yourself by looking at your woman. How is that? Let me say that again. You cannot really understand or see yourself by looking at yourself. I want to say both man and woman now. But by having a partner, you are able to see yourself better. Or you're able to see yourself at any rate. Because that partner, once you are truly complementary, is a real reflection of you. A real reflection of you. But going further, the next point about flirtation. Has my partner ever given me reason to believe that he or she might be unfaithful? Flirting suggests that person can be unfaithful to you. Why would I want to flirt when I have chosen the most wonderful person to stand by my side? If that is not the position, you should not have chosen at all, or you should wait a little later to choose. But the fact that you have chosen that person next to your side, you can't be flirting. Because flirting suggests you're not satisfied with what you have. That's what flirting suggests, you know. That means I'm looking on the outside still when I have my inside. But as Christians, people who are being reformed, what is our thinking? Do you understand in actual fact that doing that is giving Satan fodder to laugh at what we call the character of God? You continue to flirt. Satan loves it. Because he knows if you continue to flirt, you will soon leave and commit the adulterous act. Because flirtation is actually spiritual adultery. And Christ condemned that. Looking on a woman and lusting after her. And don't tell me that flirtation is not lust. Don't tell me that. Once you begin to flirt and make suggestive remarks and statements and accept them, you have already crossed the line. Do not accept flirtatious remarks. Let all your flirting, if it is flirting, will be the wife or the husband that you have chosen. Tell them the suggestive things. Tell them the sweet things that both of you could enjoy in the confines of marriage and the sacred bed. That's what you are to do. And that way, if you keep your eyes more focused on Christ and your spouse, we can have better relationships, I believe. Focus on Christ, but your spouse, in actual fact, is the one that receives all the compliments from you. Don't go around complimenting other men's wives either. Don't go around complimenting them. You might recognize the person is well dressed, but go beyond that, you're going to be crossing a serious line. That's how I understand it. That's how I see it. So that infidelity is something that we cannot give credence to at all. Matter of fact, infidelity is virtual adultery, which it is. I see Brother Steve's hand up.
At Marriage Club one time, this statement was made, and I find it to be a very true statement. The grass is only greener on the other side when you fail to water your own grass. And I've tried to live by that since then. If I keep looking after my partner, pretty soon they'll surpass even the greener grass that appears to be greener. It only appears greener only because you're not watering your own.
Very good point. And further, Steve, it only appears greener until you get on the other side.
True. This was expanded upon at one point in time to give instances of how easily people can flirt. Now, and the one way it has here, has my partner ever given me reason to believe he or she might be unfaithful? And the whole talk about cell phones came up. And although cell phones can be used in a positive light, most of the time Satan gets to use it in a negative way. And this one came up because the lady asked this one, she says, I always see my partner when the phone rings, he takes up the phone and he walks in a different direction. Can that be right? Or you can have a situation where the phone rings and it always seems to be a fella you're talking to, but yet you're talking soft. Or you can't seem to speak loudly. And is it right for partners to have what you call lock or codes on their phone so the other person can't get in? Or if you tell anybody, don't touch my phone, I'm the only person allowed to answer it.
Well, Steve has opened up a number of areas that would take much more than what I have here. Now, also look at from the perspective that though I am your husband, I have a personal space as well. And you have a personal space as well. But on the other hand, why would I not speak in front of my partner when the phone rings? On occasions, I speak because it seems to be okay. On occasions, I have to run away. Those things leave a partner to wonder and probably eventually wander as well. But what I'm saying is, if as Christian men and women, with the fear of God in our hearts, I, for example, don't have no problem. My wife would have my cell phone. I have no problem. I don't have anybody calling my cell phone that I have to stalk. I hide away. Or that sending text to me or kind fancy text. I don't have those kind of things at all. I'm just giving my personal experience. And what I'm saying is we need to be open and honest with our partners to the extent that we can trust them with every single thing that bumps through our brains. Now, like Abraham, we might have to say, well, I know her faith is not strong, and this might be a trial, but not to the extent that you're flirting or hiding that aspect of it. No. And I'm saying that very often we lose our relationships because we act too suspiciously. You know, suspicion can mash up and break up and destroy families. And nothing might be wrong. You might not be doing anything wrong, you know. But you can call your partner to suspect how you are functioning. And that is why openness is the key to all of this. Because I can be doing something above board, and I might be talking, you know. My wife comes in the room, and I begin to go to the room at the same time. What is she going to think? Wait, what happened here? Run as I can. So that and you may not even say anything wrong. But just you want to commune with this person. Might be a job, let's say, for example. But that's the extra thing. But what I'm saying is we are to remove all possibilities for suspicion occurring in your relationship. It matters not what it is. All suspicion must be removed if you're going to have a healthy relationship. Why would I want my wife to suspect me? Why would you want your wife to suspect your husband? Is it that you're doing it in order to get rid of them? Some people use those strategies. I'm going to do a certain thing for her behavior and then say, you see how she's behaved? Try to trick on her or him. People are very, very smart in their moves. But let's go a little further as time goes on. Further on infidelity. Unfaithfulness is one of the most fundamental betrayal of trust, and one that will jeopardize a marriage. Unfaithfulness, that is having a relationship with another person. That is what no woman or man can really stand, especially a man. Sometimes a woman might swallow her spit over her husband's infidelity. But I don't know if they got 1/4 of men who will ever broker somebody else dealing with his wife. It's not a comforting thought for man. You see, a man sees his wife as an extension of himself. And you don't play with a man's wife. Men like to play with other people and still have your wife probably holding you. But not so for a man. A man feels extremely hurt when a wife is unfaithful to him. But he will want her to at least bear with him in his unfaithfulness. And it is wrong. So that infidelity really is the worst. And it's not only that you have a sexual partner apart from your wife, but also it could also extend even further. The person might not be reached that level, but you might have confidence. You might give secrets to somebody else that you're not telling your wife, and it might come back around. Somehow your wife hear about it. You never tell her anything. With that is grounds for dismissal, I say, in a relationship. Because if I hear not from her or from him, you know how you're going to feel. If somebody have a kind of tell third hand that this thing is happening, how do you think you will feel? You're the last person to know. That means that they're laughing at me all the time. When I see people laughing and joking, you can begin to think now, wait, they're laughing at me, you know? You can begin to feel real bad now. Because it was out there ever since, you weren't aware. But now you became aware, all your mind could begin to trip back. Oh, they're laughing at me all the time when they're talking to me. And they might not have been laughing because they might have been ignorant as well. But because now it comes out that way, you're going to begin to retrace your steps and realize, wait, I laughed, you know what I mean? All them people I see, my friends are laughing with me, they're laughing at me. And that causes more bitterness and hurt and pain in a relationship. So that we need to be very conscious of our partner, their feelings, how we deal with them, how we appreciate and show them that we appreciate them. And these are things that are simple things, but we forget them. And my business is to bring down here fancy to you. My business is to bring simple things that create problems that we can get rid of and have better relationship in our families, in our church, in actual fact. If your partner is unfaithful before you get married, and you cannot agree that both of you find such actions acceptable, chances are it will happen again. Are you going to accept your, some people love, quote unquote, a partner or a person so much, they haven't gone into a marriage situation yet, and they're willing to cut the eye against some kind of activity person is doing because they want the person so much. So they're rather, what people say, there's a little expression used where that you're willing to put up with it to get the ring or to get the lady, as the case might be. So that he might start when we marry. Start when you marry. All right, let's go. Intolerance or excessive rigidity. I know that I'm going fast, and it really engenders discussion. So that once you have your question, you repair to the mic. Are you willing to have it ventilated? Other person might respond. I will respond. The case might be. Yes, we have a question here from Sister Margaret. I assume on infidelity where we reached.
Yes, please. Infidelity. You seem to limit unfaithfulness and infidelity to. Okay, yeah, you seem to limit it to unfaithfulness between
Spouses?
Yeah, because we're looking at the church setting, right? But can it be extended now to in-laws and friends? Can we say that your partner is being unfaithful to you because he's trusting his sister and confiding in her, and or even mothers and sons? Can we extend it?
But did you hear me make that extension, Sister Margaret?
No, sorry, I didn't hear him.
But it's a good point that we can come back to. Sister Margaret's question is a very important one. I did not elaborate as much, probably. And you know, of course, I'm speaking with the idea that the background knowledge is here already for what we've discussed. Should I allow a brother-in-law or sister, or rather, should I allow a brother, a sister, a good friend, a parent come between me and my partner? That's what basically you're asking, Sister Margaret? Right. And I would say again, like I said, the only third party who is not the third party but the first party in the relationship, and both of you all shall have a relationship with that person, is Jesus Christ. Now, there are times in which you might need a little help for something that might arise. You might be under stress, and you might have a friend, you might ask a little advice. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you go and tell the people your business. I didn't say that. Because I still believe that your heart is to be the grave of the faults of both husband and wife. But I'm saying as human beings, sometimes we are faced with a little situation. And you might ask a question, you know, this seems to be creating a problem. You think I should do? To me, that's the extent of what you should really do. You don't bring them in to create a problem. And yes, Margaret, why I don't say it in the same light as infidelity, the word infidelity suggests otherwise. I see your point in that no other person really should be able to come in between your husband, the husband and wife, to create tension, to lead a husband or a wife to be uncomfortable. That person will be very insensitive and not very caring of the spouse if you know your spouse is uncomfortable with somebody barging in, somebody coming in your house, somebody being always around there, around you, consistently. You ain't getting the space that you should be getting. The confidence that should be in you, you're not getting, but somebody else is getting. No, that can't be Christian marriage, not the way God designed it. Because your wife is your next self. Anything, the first thing should pass by your wife or your husband. But not that you have a person that you, before you even tell your wife or husband, you're telling this person. Do you think, believers, that that is the way that God designed it? And therefore, we cannot be doing that. Like I said, I don't say as infidelity. I say, like one of the other points that one of the other bullets that I have mentioned earlier. I know infidelity has to do with not only unfaithfulness, but it has a concept associated with it that you are not really upfront with this kind of a person. But I'm saying that infidelity very often sparks of a commitment to another person in a relationship situation. I don't say necessarily that you're committed to the person, but you keep on allowing the person to pop in like a Spanish station into your relationship. You know what I'm talking about when you have old-time radios. You're trying to find a place, a Spanish station break in, you don't want that. So what I'm saying is you can't do that. And listen to me. I am very categorical about it. My time is about gone now. That should not be broken under any circumstance in any relationship at all. Nobody should be coming in your house, digging up your house, know your business. As a partner, only should know it. And you should be man or woman enough to say, look, get out of my house immediately. And you have a right to do that and stand your ground. It doesn't matter what is happening between you and your husband. You have a right to plant your foot down firmly and let people know you just can't come in my house and play your own run things in my house. It is our house, my wife and my husband's house, and not your house. And lots of that happens. It is wrong, it is sin, and it leads one way. It's a one-way street for divorce. All right, let me move quickly just to get one or two other thoughts in. Intolerance or excessive rigidity. I'm going to ask you for 5 extra minutes, if you don't mind. Listen to this one. Is he or she accepting of attitudes I possess that differ from his or hers or her own? The word is attitudes. Do I accept an attitude that my wife has, or does she accept an attitude I have is different? Listen to this point. Does my partner refuse to speak to me or others if he or she is what? Anybody know that experience? Hello? Out there, anybody know the experience? Especially respectfully or ladies. Boy, when they're vexed with a husband, they're vexed with the whole world. Don't speak to a fella. Worse yet, Flo knows she's talking about good. But we all know Sister Flo. You see that? That is one of the things as well that drives some partners onto the arms or shoulders of others. I repeat it again. We're in a Christian setting. It shouldn't happen, but we are addressing reality. Those are some of the things that drive partners into other people's arms or crying on other people's shoulders. As Christians, it should not. It should not. Brother Jeffrey, but it does happen from time to time. And I believe that is why in Christian circles there's so much divorce. That is something else again, brother. Go ahead, Brother Jeff.
Yes. You seem to be talking a lot about negligence. If, for instance, you were to counsel someone who, to your mind, or matter of fact, goes beyond your mind, there's evidence that there has been neglect, the neglecting of one spouse, and that spouse has committed adultery, and the one that has not committed adultery, can any of those two now go and be remarried to another? You understand the question?
Yeah, I will answer tongue in cheek deliberately first.
Pardon?
I will answer you tongue in cheek deliberately at first. And then to stop them. I know your question now. As Christians.
Yes.
No, I'm saying to you, he asked if either of those partners can go and remarry. And then to stop a man from marrying another person, you understand where I'm coming from? It's not necessarily right. What I would say, Brother Jeffries, the innocent party, according to Matthew 9, especially verse 10 or thereabout, I have 2 chapters on it that I hope to touch somewhere along the line before we finish camp, has the right to remarry if they so desire.
But it seems to me that if I have led my spouse to commit adultery, I am just as guilty.
All right.
So therefore, I have no right to marry either.
Well,
I have contributed to her behavior.
All right, let's look at it really in the deepest sense, Jeffrey. Can you really make a person do something? All right.
My actions
all right, no problem.
and reactions
Can influence.
can influence
But cannot make.
the influence is there. I would
Yes.
have contributed to that person's behavior.
All right. But you cannot make the person do what they do.
And I am just as guilty.
Well, if you, Jeffrey, have been doing things, you're wrong. Nobody disputing that. But you cannot be said to have committed adultery. You may have committed a sin, but not adultery. And therefore, then, if the person who has done the act overtly, Christ addressed these kind of things with the main issue. But if you are the one who has done it overtly, you have committed the sin, you are culpable for your actions. And you should take responsibility for your actions and don't blame a person because they might have led you in terms of the influence astray. They will be dealt with. But you yourself have to acknowledge, I am at fault. I am the culprit here. And one of the suggestions is that person who has committed adultery must, according to Christ, should, according to Christ, remain a eunuch. And eventually, if the husband dies or the person dies, they might be able to marry back because the husband is dead. But therefore, then the whole issue gone. But I'm sorry, I can't be address it a little further. I address it very, I thought, very nicely inside the book. We have to close, Brother Kamal. Have you not have any more questions at this time? Brother Merton indicated to me that it's time to get off the floor. But we still have some the last two or so is so interesting that I'm hoping I'll probably force it tomorrow before we begin what we want to do. All right. Thank you. Let us pray. Our Father, you have answers to all of our problems. We want to acknowledge, dear Lord, that in the matter of family, especially in the spousal relationships, there are a tremendous amount of problems that exist in the Christian world of which we are a part. And we thank you for this little privilege of being able to discuss among ourselves and understand your word, dear Father. Understand that you are preparing a people who are revived and reformed to the extent that the spousal relationship is so tight that it reflects the relationship between you and your son. May we see this, dear Lord, of not importance, but rather that it is fraught with significance. Because if we cannot agree as spouses in our homes, our churches will be affected. Our children will be affected. And indeed, at last, if we are not reconciled, our salvation will be in jeopardy. So open our eyes, dear Lord, to the higher relation that you want us to have and experience. Caring for our spouses as we care for ourselves, because our spouse is our next best self. As we discuss among ourselves, may we discuss, dear Lord, not just for fun, but for encouraging. Grant that we might be to each other as spouses, first of all, encouraging, showing respect and honor, so that we can walk in the way of righteousness. Bless our lunch now as we partake there. We thank you for Christ's sacrifice, which gives us the privilege of physical life and eating food. Bless those who have been prepared, and we thank you in Jesus' precious name. That the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Thank you for the extra few minutes.
We are called to remember that we are on a supply